All right, my beauties. This is our second day of hyperbolas. We are going the opposite direction. We're going to write our equations. To write our equations, we need three things. We need to know our center, HK. We need to know the distance from the center to the vertex and the distance from the center to the co-vertex. All right, so I normally don't draw a big graph. I just draw a simple sketch, enough that I can get my measurements. So for A, we're told that our vertices are at plus or minus 3, 0. So that would be our two vertices. And our focus points are at plus or minus 6, 0. All right. So the center, well, the center has to be right in the middle. So right in the middle is the point 0, 0. So the origin is our center. Because the vertices go left and right, we know it's going to be an x squared minus y squared. So I know I have x squared minus y squared equals 1. The distance to the vertex is our a value, so a is 3. 3 squared is 9. The distance from the center to the focus point is our c value, not our b value, but our c value. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, so b squared equals 25. You technically don't even need this last step because the equation uses b squared. So b squared equals 25. So that's our equation. All right, so B. Okay, the focus points are at plus or minus 10, 0. So that tells us our C value, because right in the middle of that would be 0, 0. Again, it's opening left and right, so that means the x comes first, so x squared minus y squared. We know that our slope is 3 over 4, which in this case, that would be b over a, because it opens left and right. Okay, so 3 over 4 equals b over a. And then if we used our formula, 3 squared plus 4 squared does not equal 10 squared. So I had to just use proportions. If I multiply this top and bottom by 2, it would be 6 over 8. And 6 squared plus 8 squared does equal 10 squared. So our b is 6 and our a is 8. Okay, so we just had to use similar triangles and proportions to figure that out. So if b is 6, then 36 goes under y squared. If a is 8, then 64 goes under x squared. So x squared over 64 minus y squared over 36 equals 1. Okay, so that one was a little tricky. Most of them weren't that tricky. All right, so C, we have our vertices and we have our foci. So the vertices are 2, 3, and 2, negative 3. The foci are 2, 5, and 2, negative 5. So that means our center is going to be on the x-axis at 2, 0. The distance to the vertex is 3, so a equals 3. The distance to the focus point is 5, so c equals 5. So a squared plus b squared equals 25, so b squared equals 16, and b equals 4. Now this one, the vertices are going up and down, which means it's going to be a y squared minus x squared. Because of our center, we have y minus 0, which is just y, and x minus 2 squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and it always equals 1. So there's our equation. All right, so D, we have vertices at 1, 1, and 5, 1. We have focus points at 0, 1, and 6, 1. So if you figure out what's right in the middle between 1, 1, and 5, 1, and you're at 3, 1. So that's going to be our center. The distance from 3, 1 to a vertex is 2. The distance from 3, 1 to a focus point is 3. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which means b squared equals 5, and b equals the square root of 5. The vertices are going left and right, which means our hyperbola is going to open left and right. So that's going to be an x squared minus y squared. Looking at the center right here, that's an x minus 3 squared and a y minus 1 squared. A is 2, so 2 squared is 4. The square root of 5 squared is 5. So there's our equation. All right, we're on our way here. E. Vertices are at 3, 0 and 3, negative 6. So right in the middle between those two would be the center at 3, -3. We were given our asymptotes, so our slope has to be 1 and -1. Well, the distance from the center to the vertex is 3, so we know A equals 3. So 3 over B has to equal 1, which means B also has to equal 3. So we have y plus, and since the vertices were going up and down, we know our hyperbola is going to open up and down, which is a y squared minus x squared. So y plus 3 squared over 9 minus x minus 3 squared over 9 equals 1, because A and B were both 3, so both of those are 9. Which is what's interesting, because if this had been a plus sign, it would be an ellipse, but because these are both 9, it actually wouldn't be an ellipse, it would be a circle. Because that's the only difference between a hyperbola and an ellipse is the minus sign. If I change this to a plus sign, it would be the ellipse. That would be wide, and then the tall would only be 3. So if this one had a plus sign, it would actually be a circle, not an ellipse. All right, sorry, I digress. Okay, so F. Vertices are 3, 0 and 3, 4. And we have our asymptotes. So right in the middle of 3, 0 and 3, 4 is the point 3, 2. So there's our center. The distance from the center to the vertex is 2. So that's going to be our A value. And our slopes are 2/3 and -2/3. So since our A is 2, that's our rise. So rise over run, 2 over B equals 2/3, which means B equals 3. And the vertices are going up and down, so it's going to open up and down, which is why it's y squared minus x squared. The center was 3, 2, so y minus 2 squared and x minus 3 squared. 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9. So there's our equation. All right, folks. I'll see you online. Bye.